Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to day 3 of my Genshin Impact lore reading session. At the time of me recording this, obviously multiple parts have been out. We finished all of Mondstadt's lore readings for weapons and artifacts. We did all of Liwe's lore reading in one sitting yesterday for weapons and artifacts, and so we are in the Land of Eternity, Lightning and Thunder. We are in Inazuma, and we are going to be starting our process of reading through all weapons and artifact lore with a couple of books included. Very excited about this region, about the readings that I'm going to be getting into, because Inazuma, I would say, was the first region that I tried to dive in head first to after a certain point of getting here. It was around the time that Enkanomiya dropped, so around 2.4 was when I started to kind of gravitate towards Inazuma's lore with the NPCs, Enkanomiya, and then some of the other characters after we did the Kazari Sacred Sakura Cleansing Quest, Masanori Quest, the Higi Village Quest, etc. It was at that point that I really started to grow to appreciate the world building and lore and history of Inazuma, but I never really found out the full story of things because of weapons, artifacts, and books of the game that kind of give deeper context. So we are going to be starting here. We are at the Sacred Sakura Cleansing area of the Cleansing Grounds, because we are going to be starting off with Kitsune Saigu's lore, which focuses on the Retracing Bolide set, which technically is in an artifact set of Inazuma, but apparently focuses on her to an extent based on what the mods had put together for me. We're also going to be checking out the Hakushin ring for this piece. Let us begin. We're going to start with the goblet. Summer Night's water balloon. Actually, summer is like a pretty big thing in Inazuma, like the summer festival with Naganohara and Yoimiya. So I think that's actually kind of understanding how they have like a summer festival in Inazuma around that time. So that's what all of these are based on. So Summer Night's water balloon. Water balloons to be seen everywhere during the summer festival, but none are as finely wrought as this one. A beautiful water balloon filled with water. In the ghost stories of Inazuma, there is a memento from a chance meeting with someone inhuman. During the summer festival, I was separated from my parents. It was but a moment, but I had wanted to look at the water balloons and let go my hand that had gripped onto my father's sleeves. Before we knew it, the tide of people escorting the divine palanquin had washed us away. I cried by the torii gates along the road to the shrine, and I counted the feet of the people ascending the mountains. I did not know when it happened, but a beautiful lady with fox-like eyes had come to my side and taken my hand. How preposterous to leave such an adorable child here. So, how about it? Would you like to see the fireworks, throw some darts, and play Fusion with me? Aww. Kitsune Saigu's cheering up all the kids of Inazuma. That's such a sweet entry. Okay, Summer Night's moment. A pocket watch that had stopped at a certain point in time. A small, ornate pocket watch. The watch seems to have stopped at a certain time of day. In the ghost stories of Inazuma, this has something to do with an encounter with something inhuman. On the night of the summer festival, as I walked the path to the shrine with the girl I admired, I heard, only barely, the sound of a lost child's cry. In that moment of distraction, I fell, sprained my ankle, and breaking that pocket watch. While she ran to look for some ointment, I tried to make way for the people passing through, and sat back on the rocks by the wayside to rest. The beautiful mask-wearing woman sat down beside me. There are few who know about this place, but it's the best place to watch the fireworks, you know? It should have been a dream. We hadn't met in 10 years, and she hasn't aged not a day in those years, and yet you've grown so much. Looks like we should pass on the game of Fusion. I've brought wine though. Let's watch the fireworks together. What do you say? These are just, I guess, Kitsune Saigu's interactions with different people throughout the summer festivals. Obviously, she's a yokai. She doesn't age, but the humans that she comes in contact with do. So that's interesting. Summer Night's finale. A well-crafted wooden dart. It will only stop once it has reached its destination. An intricately made throwing dart. It is a common sight during the summer festival. In the ghost stories of Inazuma, there is a tale between a meeting between the human and inhuman. To celebrate her wife's pregnancy, I went to the shrine to give a votive offering, but for reasons unknown, I went up the mountain with these objects. The water balloons when I was 7, the fox mask for when I was 17, and a flower that will not wither in 10 or even 100 years. Why did I expect to meet her again? No matchmaker. Oh, so is this of the same person throughout different points of their life? We read 2 passages already. One passage that referenced the water balloons when this person was 7, and then the fox mask that we just did when they were 17. I guess this is one human's life experience of Kitsune Saigu as they grow older. Why did I expect to meet her again? No matchmaker introduced myself and my wife, and we were always short on money, and it took some time for us to produce an heir, but our days were still filled with happiness, were they not? But still, I devoured on that mountain road road to the place where I'd seen the fireworks with her. Pulling the bushes apart, I thought I saw her dressed in white, sitting upon that rock. But when I came forward and looked, it was just a fox sunbathing. It leaped up at the sound of the snapping branches and fled into the woods. And like the spots of light that poked between leaves moving by the breeze, it was gone in a flash. All that was left was an old wooden throwing dart. So this person just wants to see her again, and it's basically kind of impossible the older they get. Interesting. Summer Night's Mask, a popular mask cast in the image of a deity as described in the legends. The mask of one indwelled by a deity, a mask that has been cast in the image of some legendary deity. People will often take up the guise of the fox of legend, covering their faces with masks based on her divine visage, perhaps wishing that they might gain her ability of transformation. In Inazuma's legends, everything has a spirit, but even so, it is likely that most such beings would have long fled, driven into the forests by the suppression of the shogun. But many people still believe that these divine foxes and the ability to be indwelt by them. They believe that thousands of years of age may confer power upon animals. As such, they also believe in what this fox mask represents. A note had been left on the back of this mask, written in a lovely hand. "I'm sorry, I departed under the cover of the fireworks. We will most surely never meet again. Take care of yourself." Sheesh, that was like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Experiencing the fireworks, the summer fireworks with Kitsune Saigu. And this is the last one, Summer Night's Bloom. A man-made flower in eternal bloom. Who knows if there truly is life in there? A summer festival flower that blooms forever, that will not wilt even if buried deep below the snow. Some may label it an imitation, a false life, for life lives in change, pain, and growth, in meeting and also in passing. But the memories of meeting her, of watching the fireworks bloom in the sky like fresh flowers together, the memories of that foxy-eyed woman will eventually disappear without a trace. That unwithered flower is the final thing to remember her by. In the end, the difference comes down to the fact that, for some, life is as eternal as this undying summer bloom, and for most, it is as transient as smoke. Sheesh. That's probably like a bittersweet experience of just meeting someone for the first and last time, especially if it was a good encounter, a good experience. So experiences are as swift as lightning, there in an instant and gone the next. So we're gonna jump into the next weapon that I don't have, because for those of you who remember or experienced that moment with me when we did the Sacred Sakura cleansing quest, we were given the Mask of Memories, which redeeming this gives you the Hakushin ring weapon, which focuses on lore of Kitsune Saigu. But as you can see, I have saved this weapon in my inventory for well over a year, and I have not redeemed it, and because of that, I do not have access to the Hakushin ring weapon in my inventory, so we are going to reference the Google Doc that I am using for all of these to read out the passages of the Hakushin ring to just get the information that way. But the Mask of Memory, Hanachiru Sato, obviously is the shrine maiden that was portraying the identity of Kazari during that quest line. So Hanachiru Sato, the shrine maiden, used to wear this mask. It is deeply stained on the inside. Some memories are contained inside, through which one may learn the art of creating the catalyst known as Hakushin ring. Now that Hanachiru Sato has been separated from this mask, Paimon doesn't get to call her the Masked Maiden anymore, right? I remember she gave her that nickname. Hakushin ring. People come and go in such haste, like dreams that stay in the night and leave in the morning. This simple and ordinary life. Yes, I think I've lived it to the full. I was once the Hakushin Kitsune. With my agile and lovable comrades, I dashed across the mountains and plains of Narukami. Hopefully when everything is over, they can run happily once more. I once met an Oni maiden with a face as lovely as the moon. Together, we performed and played divine music before the throne, and I could not help but applaud her sword dance. I hope her beauty, bravery, and bearing shall be praised by people for thousands of years to come. Interesting. The Oni maiden that they mentioned might actually be Chiyo. We have the 4 horsemen of Inazuma, right? Well, I guess 5. Makoto, Sasayori, Chiyo, and Saigu. They were like the 5 besties of Inazuma. At the thought of her unrivaled beauty, I cannot help wanting to hide my current appearance with the mask. I once got into the race with the chieftain of the Yugo Tengu. Okay, so this is Sasayori. And we sprinted through all the courses and paths of the Spirit Mountains, both within it and around it. In this great contest of speed and strength, I, born of the Hakushin clan, was the eventual victor. Now that I think about it, she must have let me off easy. The very thought of it makes me feel a little unsatisfied. Yeah, I'm wondering if this is Sasayori but at the same time, it does say, now that I think about it, she must have let me off easy. This may have been before Sasayori, or it might have just been someone completely different. I'm pretty sure Sasayori was a man. I once schemed against a Bake Danuki who persistently challenged me, and I made him surrender to the Shogun completely. I also shamelessly schemed against the Shogun, and I made her put the great Bake Danuki under her what? Under her command. I see. So yeah, so that was Ioroi, right? The giant Baka Danuki that turned to stone. So that's obviously a classic history lesson right there between the two of them. She essentially saved them when the calamity and everything was happening. I believe like she pretended to play hide and seek with them and told them to look for her in the Chinju forest so that way they wouldn't go out and be affected by the abyss or anything. After however many years of waiting for her to find them, he like went on this rampage or whatever, and then he got sealed into stone. I think it was what's his name? Is it Harunosuke? Yeah. He's the master of Shiki Taisho. That's the whole 2.2 event. Shiki Taisho's master being Harunosuke. I just didn't know at that time that that was the connection that they were trying to illustrate, that he knew that kind of magic, which then went on to be used against the Baka Danuki in Chinju Forest. In the end, they basically just saved or preserved the Baka Danuki from getting bodied. Noble sacrifices for sure. That night, the moonlight swept the Imperial Garden through branch and petals, showering the courtyard with pearls from heaven. That scene still glows brightly in my shallow heart. I hope she can remember the wordly motto I dared to put to her ere we parted. Do not be blinded. Do not waver. Keep walking the path you believe in. I hope that my words will ward off at least some of the lies and evils she will face. I also hope that that mischievous yet innocent Tanuki will not hate me for my final deception. There it is. Yep, she tricked them. Now, in my darkest of places, I will hold tightly to these scenes, and like the moon shining across the clouds, I will light up my tiny, fragile heart. In this life, I once took the form of a human. Ooh, interesting. And I walked with these short-lived yet beautiful little creatures, and became friends with many people from all walks of life. Whether it was the shrine maidens who came to train in Narukami for the sake of their hometown shrine, or the kid who got separated from the adults by, oh my god! That's the retracing bolide set. Or the kid who got separated from the adults by the Divine Palanquin's entourage during the summer festival. Or the easygoing young man who finally went to Liyue to practice the Adepti arts. Ooh. I think I know who that might be referring to. Is that Harunosuke? Is she referring to Harunosuke? The basis of Onmyoto magic is founded in the Adepti arts. God, that's so cool. Also, who's this Divine Palanquin? I want to say that's either the Raiden Shogun or Kokomi, maybe? Also, okay, so the shrine maiden who came to train in Narukami for the sake of her hometown shrine. Who would that be? I feel like these are all referencing people that we know of in the story. I don't know if I know who this is. Is it the Asei shrine? Is that what they're talking about? Hometown shrine, Asei shrine? Is it Hibiki? Yeah, see, I don't really know about her. I know of her because Neko never stops talking about her, but I actually didn't know that that could have been her. Whether it's the Kanjo who worked hard to make the city prosperous, or the craftsman who became obsessed with making extremely sharp swords, or the clan who used ingenious techniques to make man-made meteors bloom in the skies. Oh my gosh. Oh, is that like fireworks? Is that what they're talking about? The Naganohara family, I guess. All of them are friends whom I did not expect to make. I hope the barrier that guards them will not be eroded by any darkness. Everything, all of this, they are all things that I yearn for. So now, the dark will that gnaws at me, now that I've lost all my strength, my Hakushin blood is yours to do with as you will. However, despite being greatly humbled as I am, I still pray that you will listen to my plea. It sounds like these are her final thoughts before she's consumed by the abyss. Because we all know, like, during the cataclysm, she plunged into the darkness, she plunged into the abyss and was never seen again. If you can see everything that I treasure, then I beg pardon on behalf of those things. If you would permit me to make but one wish, please return my ever bright memory. Oh my god. She's manifesting Kazari right now. Kazari was the memories of Kitsune Saigu. Wow, that's wild! Holy shit! So fucking cool. We never understood how that was possible. How Kazari was even like, how she even like existed as a memory. That was before we realized that like, it must have been through the ley lines of the grand sacred Sakura that led those memories back to like have a corporeal form of Kazari. But we didn't know about the ley lines last year. We didn't know about the ley lines. We didn't know that ley lines seeping out were the memories of preserved history. And I think she might have died probably around the ley lines. And then that combined it with her memories and formed Kazari. Holy fuck, that's sick. You would permit me to make but one wish. Please return my ever bright memories to this land that I love deeply. That way that even after your rampage, I may still hold out hope for beautiful things to endure. Wow. I loved this. I love Kitsune Saigu, man. What a great passage. What amazing freaking lore that they just gave us for Kitsune Saigu. She sacrificed herself. She did her best to protect people like Ioroi, and she lived the life of a person just to get to understand what it's like to live like a fragile human who lives but 100 years at best if they're lucky. Yeah, she seemed to just have a lot of love and appreciation for life in Inazuma. She tried her best, along with the others, to preserve this place when the cataclysm hit. It's so fucked, man. The cataclysm really took away so much things from us. Cataclysm of Conria and the other nations was imperative. If there was no cataclysm, there would be no Genshin Impact. The world was like forever changed by that cataclysm, and I don't even know if it was worth it in the end for going through that, whether it was Celestia's actions that caused it, or Reindaughter's actions that caused it, or whatever the case might have been, the Abyss, because we don't know why it happened. We don't know why the cataclysm happened. We don't know why Celestia and the Archons were forced to go and destroy Conria. We don't know if they were trying to save the world. Like, if this goes on, it'll destroy the planet. It'll destroy Irminsul, whatever the case might be. We don't know necessarily if it was for malevolent reasons, right? If it was for trying to keep their secret of not being of this world or whatever the case might be. But definitely had a massive ripple effect on those who came before. It's bittersweet when you read stuff about this because I'm like, damn, I wish I could have met Kitsune Saigu. She sounds like an absolute badass. But loved this. This was a great first entry for Inazuma lore. We're actually going to be moving on to Hibiki, Asei's Hibiki, which is actually, we're going to be going to the cat island for this one. I feel like it's only appropriate. So Asei's shrine will be next.